Ladies and gentlemen, this one is going to shock you. Too many men fall for women who seem irresistible. But what if her behavior reveals something much deeper, something dangerous? In this video, I'll expose 3 powerful signs that tell you exactly when not to trust her. It's not about hate, it's about awareness, self-respect, and protecting your peace. Watch till the end. The 3rd point will completely change how you see attraction forever. Comment your location and tell me where you're watching from. And don't forget to subscribe to join this growing family of strong, self-aware minds. Let's talk about something that most men miss until it's too late. The subtle way control hides itself behind affection. When a woman appears deeply interested in you, when she showers you with attention and intensity, it's natural to feel wanted. But what if that energy isn't love at all? What if it's control disguised as passion? You see, not every woman who desires you actually values you. Some are addicted not to the man himself, but to the feeling of power they get when they know they can affect you emotionally, when they can pull your strings without you even realizing it. A woman who's addicted to control doesn't always come across as toxic in the beginning. In fact, she often appears confident, exciting, and emotionally expressive. You might even think, finally, someone who knows what she wants. But pay attention, because what she wants isn't connection, it's domination. Every interaction becomes a silent test. How far can she push? How much can she get? And how quickly can she make you doubt yourself? These women feed on emotional reactions. Your anger, your confusion, your affection, all of it becomes proof of their influence. The moment you stop reacting, they lose their grip. And that's when you see who she really is. Suddenly, her warmth turns cold, her affection becomes distant, and you're left wondering what changed. The truth is, nothing changed. You just stopped giving her what she craved most: control. This is why so many men feel emotionally drained after these kinds of relationships. They confuse her attention for love, when in reality, it was just her way of keeping him emotionally tied to her energy. Psychologically, people who are addicted to control often come from a place of insecurity. They fear vulnerability because deep down, they don't trust that genuine love will be returned to them. So they manipulate situations to make sure they always have the upper hand. They flirt with emotional highs and lows to create dependency. And while they seem powerful, they are actually terrified of losing relevance. The more chaos they create, the more secure they feel, because chaos distracts them from their own emptiness. Now, here's where most men fall into the trap. They mistake this control for passion. They say, she's just strong-willed, or she's fiery and confident. But strength isn't about control, it's about stability. Real feminine power doesn't manipulate, it inspires. When a woman truly values you, her presence brings peace, not confusion. Her energy grounds you, it doesn't drain you. She doesn't need to dominate you to feel significant. She values mutual respect, shared power, and emotional safety. So how do you recognize the difference? Watch her reactions when she doesn't get her way. Does she communicate calmly, or does she resort to emotional games? Withdrawing affection, guilt, tripping, or using silence to make you chase her. A woman who seeks control will never meet you halfway. Everything is a test, a competition, or a means to prove she has you wrapped around her finger. But a woman who loves from a place of security doesn't need to play games. She can handle disagreement without destroying connection. There's a certain kind of peace that comes from emotional maturity, and you can always feel it. It's calm, not chaotic. It's supportive, not suffocating. It's love that feels freeing, not confining. The problem is many men have been conditioned to equate excitement with affection. They think if it's not intense, it's not real. But that's not love, that's addiction. Real love grows from emotional safety, not adrenaline. The woman who truly values you won't try to control your emotions. She'll help you master them. So when you meet someone who constantly tests your loyalty, challenges your peace, or thrives on creating tension, understand that this isn't love. It's control in disguise. And the moment you begin to lose your sense of self just to keep her happy, that's the moment you've already started surrendering your power. The best thing you can do is step back, not out of anger, but out of clarity. When you no longer react to manipulation, you reclaim your emotional freedom. This doesn't mean you become cold or detached. It means you become conscious. You start to see love not as a game of dominance, but as a space for mutual respect and emotional safety. Because the truth is, real love doesn't need control. It doesn't have to win. It doesn't have to test. It simply exists freely, peacefully, and without manipulation. If you ever find yourself asking, Why do I feel anxious around someone I care about? That's your first sign that something isn't love. Love doesn't make you anxious, it makes you calm. Love doesn't take your power, it reminds you that you already have it. So never mistake control for connection. One feeds your ego, the other feeds your soul. One keeps you trapped in cycles of confusion, the other sets you free. A woman who's addicted to control will never allow you to grow, because growth means independence, and independence means she loses her power. Protect your peace, value your energy, and never settle for a relationship that makes you smaller just so someone else can feel bigger. Because in the end, the most dangerous woman isn't the one who breaks your heart. It's the one who convinces you to hand it over while you're still smiling. Have you ever noticed how some people can't seem to feel alive unless there's chaos in the relationship? It's like peace makes them uncomfortable. The moment things start to feel calm, they stir something up, an argument, a misunderstanding, some unnecessary tension, just to feel that emotional high again. This is what happens when someone confuses passion with chaos. And when you're a man who values emotional balance, this kind of woman can pull you into a whirlwind before you even realize what's happening. At first, she seems exciting. Her energy is magnetic, unpredictable, and intoxicating. She keeps you guessing, keeps you on your toes, and that unpredictability makes everything feel more intense. You start to associate her presence with adrenaline, those late night arguments followed by passionate makeups. Those emotional highs and lows that make you feel like you're in the middle of a movie. But here's the truth, that's not love, that's emotional addiction. You're not connecting, you're reacting. And the more you react, the more she controls the rhythm of the relationship. Psychologically, this dynamic is rooted in something called intermittent reinforcement, the same principle used in gambling. When you don't know when you'll get affection, validation, or peace, your brain releases dopamine every time you do. That unpredictability becomes addictive. It keeps you chasing the next high of connection, even if most of the time you're hurting. And that's exactly how toxic emotional patterns form. Chaos becomes the glue that holds the relationship together. Now, it's important to understand that many people who thrive on chaos aren't consciously trying to hurt you. They've simply learned that instability equals excitement. Somewhere along the way, they equated emotional turbulence with love, probably because that's what love looked like in their past. Unstable, dramatic, unpredictable. They think that if it's calm, it must be boring. If it's peaceful, it must not be passionate. But real love doesn't need chaos to feel alive. Real love feels steady, not stagnant. It's deep, not dramatic. The problem is many men mistake chaos for connection because it mirrors intensity, and intensity feels powerful. But intensity fades, stability grows. A woman who constantly brings drama into your life isn't keeping things interesting. She's keeping you emotionally unstable. And when you're unstable, you can't think clearly. You start to question yourself, you lose focus, and you spend your energy trying to decode her moods instead of building your own peace. That's not love, that's control through confusion. Let's look deeper into this pattern. When chaos-driven women sense emotional distance, they'll often create tension just to feel closer again. They'll provoke, test, or accuse, not because they want to leave, but because they want reassurance. Conflict becomes their way of connecting. And if you respond with emotion, if you get angry, defend yourself, or try to fix things, they feel powerful again. The relationship becomes a cycle of crisis and comfort. But peace never lasts long because peace doesn't feed the addiction. Philosophically, this kind of love isn't love at all. It's attachment based on fear, fear of stillness, fear of intimacy, fear of vulnerability without intensity. True love invites stillness, it allows both people to breathe, but when someone fears stillness, they mistake it for indifference. They'll say, things just don't feel the same anymore, when in truth, things have just become calm. And that calmness exposes something they've never faced, the discomfort of emotional quiet. When you encounter a woman like this, it's easy to get drawn into her storm. Her chaos can make you feel desired, needed, alive. But that feeling is temporary. Over time, it drains you. You begin to live on edge, waiting for the next argument, the next outburst, the next unpredictable swing in emotion. And the more you adjust to her instability, the less you recognize yourself. You become reactive instead of intentional. You stop leading the relationship. You start surviving it. Here's the harsh truth: if chaos feels like love, it's a sign you've experienced too much pain. It means your nervous system has been trained to associate tension with connection. And unless you break that pattern, you'll keep mistaking emotional volatility for chemistry. But chemistry without peace is poison. What you want isn't excitement that burns out, it's connection that endures. Real passion doesn't come from chaos, it comes from emotional alignment. It's the quiet confidence of knowing someone has your back, even in silence. It's the depth of connection that doesn't need constant drama to feel alive. When you meet a woman who finds peace exciting, who values communication, consistency, and emotional balance, you'll realize that love was never meant to feel like survival. It was meant to feel like safety. So if you find yourself in a relationship that feels like a roller coaster, ask yourself, am I addicted to the highs because I fear the calm? Am I confusing emotional turbulence with love? Because the most dangerous relationships are the ones that make you feel alive while slowly killing your peace. You don't need chaos to feel love. You need clarity. You don't need intensity to feel connection. You need consistency. The most powerful relationships aren't the ones that shake your world. They're the ones that steady it. Remember this, love that burns too fast dies too soon. But love that grows in peace lasts a lifetime. There's a certain kind of woman who's always chasing excitement, the next thrill, the next spark, the next emotional high. At first, it can feel intoxicating to be around her. She's spontaneous, magnetic, and full of energy. She makes every moment feel alive. But as time goes on, you begin to notice something unsettling. The connection never seems to deepen. No matter how much time you spend together, it always feels like you're standing on the surface of something that could have been deeper, but never is. That's because she values excitement more than emotional depth. And when the excitement fades, so does her affection. In the beginning, this woman will make you feel like the center of her world. Every conversation feels electric, every gesture feels meaningful. But soon, that intensity begins to shift. She starts to get bored, restless, distracted. She starts to crave newness, not necessarily a new person, but a new feeling. Her energy thrives on novelty because she equates stimulation with fulfillment. And the tragedy is she doesn't even realize that what she's chasing isn't love, it's escape. She's escaping boredom, routine, and sometimes herself. Psychologically, this pattern is tied to something called hedonic adaptation. It's the human tendency to quickly return to a baseline level of satisfaction after positive experiences. In simple terms, the high never lasts. So she keeps chasing new highs, a new trip, a new experience, a new emotional rush, hoping each one will fill the void the last one couldn't. But the truth is, no amount of excitement can replace emotional connection, because connection isn't built on intensity, it's built on consistency. When you build a relationship on excitement alone, it becomes unstable. Excitement is temporary, it fades with familiarity. But emotional depth, that's where love lives. That's where you find peace, trust, and intimacy that doesn't need constant stimulation to survive. The woman who values excitement over depth doesn't know how to sit still in love. She confuses calm with dullness. She thinks stillness means something is missing, when in fact, it's the foundation of something real. Philosophically, this type of woman represents a larger issue in our culture, the obsession with feeling over being. We've been conditioned to believe that love must always be thrilling, that relationships should constantly give us butterflies, that if it isn't exciting, it isn't working. But real love doesn't always give you butterflies. Sometimes it gives you roots. It grounds you, it grows quietly, it matures with patience. And that kind of love can only exist between two people who are willing to embrace stillness, not run from it. The woman who lives for excitement often struggles with emotional depth because depth requires vulnerability. It demands that you stay when the feeling fades, that you show up even when it's not convenient, that you allow another person to truly see you. And that's terrifying for someone who has built her sense of worth on being admired, not understood. So instead of going inward, she goes outward to new experiences, new people, new thrills, anything to avoid confronting her own emotional emptiness. For the man involved with her, it becomes a cycle of confusion. You try harder, thinking you can keep her attention by doing more, by being more spontaneous, more interesting, more unpredictable. But no matter what you do, it's never enough, because her hunger isn't for love, it's for stimulation, and stimulation has no finish line. It's an endless loop that leaves you emotionally exhausted. The saddest part is that beneath her excitement often lies fear, fear of stillness, fear of boredom, fear of emotional exposure. She's terrified that if things slow down, she'll have to face herself. And so she keeps moving, keeps chasing, keeps reinventing. But love is not found in movement, it's found in stillness. The ability to sit in peace with someone without needing constant validation is the truest form of intimacy. When you meet a woman like this, you must learn to see beyond her energy. Don't mistake her thrill for connection. Don't confuse her unpredictability with passion. Look at what happens when the moment fades. Does she stay connected, or does she drift away? Can she be present in silence, or does she always need noise to feel alive? These are the signs that reveal whether she's capable of real intimacy. In life, excitement will always fade. What remains is depth, the quiet understanding between two people who choose to keep showing up, not because it's thrilling, but because it's meaningful. A woman who values depth will bring calm, not chaos. She won't just love how you make her feel, she'll love who you are. And that kind of love, though less dramatic, is infinitely more powerful. As you grow wiser, you'll start to crave peace more than excitement, substance more than show. You'll realize that what makes love extraordinary isn't how fast it burns, but how long it lasts. And lasting love is built by two people who understand that true connection isn't always fireworks. Sometimes it's just a quiet flame that never goes out. So if you ever find yourself chasing someone who only comes alive when there's drama, who gets bored when things are calm, who disappears when the thrill fades, remember this: you can't build something real with someone who's addicted to the temporary. Love that lasts is found in stillness, in patience, in depth. The kind of woman who values that will never make you question your peace, she'll protect it with you. And that's the kind of love worth waiting for.